Has a song ever made you want to cry? Maybe a breakup song hit a little too close to home, or maybe some lyrics spun a sad story. But how does a song with no words make you feel emotions strong enough to form a lump at your throat, to make your heart want to leap out of your chest, to tug at your heartstrings? Hi, my name is Kamishiro, and this is Songs of Our Stories, a series where I talk about how music in video games and anime elevate their storytelling. Today's episode is about one of the saddest pieces in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But before we jump in, let's give the uninitiated a brief overview of the game. In the world of Ionios, people are born as child soldiers, belonging to one of the opposing nations, Keves and Agnes, in a brutal, endless war. When a soldier dies by an enemy's blade, their life force fuels the opposing nation and keeps their colonies strong. To make matters worse, each soldier only lives 10 years, with many not even making it to that meager lifespan. This grief over death, the meaning of life, and what life could have been is a major theme of the game. And what better piece to symbolize this despair than the piece called That to Which the Defeated Cling, a song about holding on to what little hope you have in times of extreme distress. The way this piece adds to your sense of doom and gloom is through tension and release. In music, tension is the sense of uneasiness, instability, anticipation, or excitement. And you can build and release tension in different ways. Today, we're going to talk about how this piece builds tension through the dynamics, rhythm, and its melody and harmony. Dynamics refers to how loud or soft a piece is played. This piece starts off quietly and crescendos into a loud, intense cry that drops off suddenly, back down to a whisper. Throughout the rest of the piece, the strings slowly swell and recede repeatedly, tugging on your heartstrings, creating instability. It ends back on a quiet note, just like it began, leaving us alone once again with nothing but our thoughts. The speed and magnitude at which dynamics change have an effect on how tension is built. A long, drawn-out change in dynamics can have you feeling antsy, and a sudden contrast can feel intense, shocking, or even relieving in some cases. Rhythm is how or when notes are placed or timed in music. And when rhythms or phrases are continually repeated, you can build up a sense of anticipation. In the beginning of this piece, we find the strings passing around this simple back and forth motion, creating a sense of expectation to go somewhere, pushing us toward something. Within this back and forth motion, we find the music switching between consonance and dissonance. Putting it simply, consonance is when notes sound pleasant together, and dissonance is when notes sound harsh or off-putting together. But just because the notes don't sound great together doesn't mean they aren't fantastic tools for creating shape and movement in music. In context, dissonance is great for setting up tension. When given dissonant notes, our brain seeks to hear them resolve, creating a sense of anticipation of what the piece will do. And a piece can either provide that relief with consonance or continue to build that tension with more dissonance. In That to Which the Defeated Cling, this back and forth motion switches from moving between two dissonant notes and two consonant notes, constantly moving us between a state of tension and a state of relief, creating instability. Speaking on a personal, subjective level, this song just sounds like what I imagine desperation would be if it were a noise. In stark contrast to most of the Xenoblade soundtrack that's full of texture with percussion, winds, rocking guitar, and the like, this piece feels stripped down with just the strings and the harp. It feels like a step away from the chaos and heat of war, where you can really take a moment to sit with difficult feelings and think about the people behind the flurry of weapons they hold on the battlefield. The rhythmic melody, like footsteps pacing helplessly across the floor, strings that sound like they're crying, whining, begging, pleading. The very shape of this song, from its swells to its harmonic tension, outlines how desperation morphs and changes. from realization to anger, despair, helplessness, and acceptance. And hearing the melody use a motif from Noah's off-singing tune adds an even stronger sense of emotional investment as you subconsciously associate Noah's experiences, his desperation, to the feelings this piece conveys. If you enjoy this piece and want to hear more music that evokes the same emotional swell, I would like to personally recommend Samuel Barber's Adagio for Strings, a piece I often use to describe that to which the defeated cling before I even learned the track's name. Before I dive into this next section of the video, I want to take a second to say that this song underscores some of the most heart-wrenching moments in the game. So, huge spoiler warning from this point onwards for major plot points. If you want to play the game without potentially spoiling things, please come back later once you've finished the main story. So how is this piece and its musical tension used throughout the game? From what I've seen, it really highlights two topics regarding how the defeated may cling. One, the cognitive dissonance Ouroboros experiences when confronted with the truths of their world. And two, how defeat and despair drives characters' thoughts and actions. The first time we hear this piece is in Chapter 1, when Guernica asks the group why it is they fight, if having an enemy is the only reason to fight, and who their real enemy is. Noah begins to wonder who decided that people need to fight just to survive, and if this is how things should be. Using the piece here helps build unease and anticipation for Ouroboros' first real conflict they encounter together as a team, before they even become one. Facing the idea that everything they've come to know is about to become undone. This piece is used again in Chapter 3 when Boliaris tells Ouroboros about Ethel and Kamuravi's rivalry, how they've fought a countless number of times, and yet, in their last battle, Ethel refused to take the final blow when Kamuravi was down. All their lives they've been told that in order to live, you must fight and take others' lives for your own. And this piece highlights once again something that challenges that worldview. In Chapter 5, Monica explains to Ouroboros the truths of the world, that the cycle of death and rebirth in the war between Kevis and Agnes fuels Mobius, the very ones who trap the two nations in this cycle. Monica reveals the city's extremely lengthy task of keeping bodies out of the cycle, as well as the incredible toll it takes on other lives to fight Mobius in doing so. In these moments, our main characters feel lost, confused, and defeated when their worldview is broken down, and they try to cling on to whatever explanation or reasoning they can. What's really interesting about specific characters, however, is just how different are the things to which they cling to in the face of defeat. In Chapter 3, this piece is played during Tyon's confrontation with Commander Izzard. When cornering Ouroboros, Izzard vehemently shares his desire to break Tyon and bring him to ruin as revenge for Nimoe's death. Just as Tyon has a flashback to being given Nimoe's timepiece, the song begins. We see that since then, he's clung onto this feeling of guilt over his reckless strategy leading to her death, and now the guilt of driving the kind Izzard to seek revenge. Shania also explains her motivation for teaming up with Mobius alongside the song. In Chapter 5, Shania reveals that the reason she teamed up with Mobius was because of the inferiority she felt towards Gondor, how her parents were so great, her Ouroboros results so fantastic, and how she never seemed to care about Shania. Shania is so desperate to cling on to the rebirth cycle because she sees it as another chance at life. She resents the cards that she was given, comparing herself to Gondor. Feeling defeated in this life, she clings onto the hope that things will be better in the next. Later on in the chapter, Ouroboros gets ready to fight M, but before they do, M and Mio share a glance, and the music begins again. I feel like this one hits really hard when you come back to it after finding out about Mio and M's swap, because what the song really represents in this moment is how defeated M feels by N's actions. The only thing she has left to cling on to is the success of her plan putting an end to N and M's terrible, endless now. Then, in Chapter 6, Mio recalls how En was convinced to kill the people of the city. Noah saw Mio's lifeless body and was given the chance to bring her back to life. That is, sacrifice the lives of everyone they knew so that they can remain existing as Mobius. He clings onto that incredibly reckless plan because he'd felt he'd lost so much and didn't want to lose any more. Yorin argues with the party about why he became Mobius after the fight at Cloud Keep in Chapter 6. Yorin resented that he wasn't as strong as his friends, how he felt patronized by them, when he really just wanted to become just as strong as they were. He wanted their approval. He didn't want to be seen as weak or unable to become strong, so he sought Mobius' strength. Again, he clings onto this idea, this hope in the face of feeling defeated by his lack of strength. This piece acts as a musical glue between these stories. The moments when our main characters feel defeated by the world they live in, their circumstances, their past, and their adversaries, as well as what it is they cling onto in these moments, whether it's guilt, safety, or hope. The music mirrors the tension you feel in these stories through its dynamics, rhythm, its melody, and harmony, for a comprehensive emotional experience that you can really feel. Let me know about your emotional journey with Xenoblade's music. Did you experience that same feeling of tension and grief with this piece? What other pieces in the OST made you feel certain emotions? If you like this video, please subscribe for more content about video games, anime, music, and thoughtful, emotional experiences. This has been Songs of Our Stories with Rita Kamishiro. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time!